Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae, also known as Wildbow. You can read Worm in its original format by visiting parahumans.wordpress.com or donate to Wildbow's Patreon at patreon.com/wildbow. This story isn't intended for young or sensitive readers. Readers who are on the lookout for trigger warnings are advised to give Worm a pass. For a complete list, check the description for all of Worm's trigger warnings.
Good morning, Brockton Bay. It's pie in the sky, and they say they're not bi, but boy, does she go round kissing. It's the Brockton Bay Book Club podcast, everyone.
Ayo.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
That worked out better than I expected.
Yeah, I liked it.
Just something looking through my notes, and all I see is not bi, not bi.
I like how this arc
is
is crazy, but that's what you pulled from it.
It's what we all paid attention to.
That's true.
Come
It's
on.
the biggest thing on my page. It is in quotations, underlined, and circled twice in a row.
Well, we'll get there. It's a few chapters away, but let's back up a bit here. Welcome back, everybody,
Thank you.
and welcome to all of our listeners. We are in Arc 14 of Worm. We are the Brockton Bay Book Club, and we have made it so far, and yet still have so far to go.
Oh, yeah.
But we wrap up a pretty fun few arcs here, really. It feels like the conclusion of a pretty big storyline with the Slaughterhouse 9 at the moment. So let's
We're
dive
calling
in.
this the end of season 2.
Yeah, this will be our end of
Time
season
flies.
2, quote unquote. We're gonna go ahead and
Yeah.
we're just gonna dive in. It's a long arc. We got a lot to get to.
Yeah,
Hannah,
probably
do you
one of
have
my favorite arcs too. Just
It is.
this
Yeah,
was
just
one
kind
of the arcs that I felt like I couldn't put down.
Mhm.
Like there would be things, somebody would, like you're reading and somebody tries to talk to you and you're like, hang on, give me a moment, please.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
this arc felt like because it was, there was just so much that you just wanted to keep going. You wanted to know what was going to happen, figure out how are they going to get out of this one? How are they going to get through this? And every time, because even though I've read it before and I know a lot of what happens, and I'm remembering it as I go, and I'm thinking, wait, I think this is what happens. Is that what happens? Is this a false memory? And it was just so fun. I had a great time with
Nice.
this one.
Yeah.
One thing I love about Arc 14 and Worm in general, but I think Arc 14 really highlights it, is that when you're reading Worm, it doesn't feel like you're reading about the protagonist of the world, right? Like Superman feels like the entire world revolves around Superman. But in Worm, Skidder just feels like, and Taylor just feels like anybody who's existing in this crazy world. And I feel like Arc 14 really highlights that a lot as she's flying around, as she's seeing everything else that's going on. It really feels like this is a living world that is moving all around her chaotically, and she's doing her best to sort of stay above water. And I just love the way that feels when you're reading it. It's a fun feeling.
Absolutely.
All right, let's dive in. Hannah, got some chapter summaries for us?
I do, and I don't really know how to clump these.
Yeah, they kind of all blend together.
They really do. Should I just go one at a time for now? And just see how it goes from there.
Yeah, we'll kind of try to go chapter. Yeah, I mean it's gonna blend together. There's no way around that.
It really, really will.
We'll do the best we can.
Yeah. So chapter 1, if you guys remember from the end of Arc 13, where we had Taylor and Brian talking about what had happened with Brian and then falling asleep on the couch. Well, chapter 1 is Taylor waking up from being dead asleep and drooling all over Brian's shoulder. And then the Undersiders and the Travelers kind of have this little moment where they decide whether they will or they won't talk to Cherish. And eventually they do. And the Undersiders talk to Cherish and learn a little bit about Siberian. And that she isn't quite what she appears to be, and that she has another body that is more vulnerable.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Huge reveal right off the bat. It's just, I like it. Of all the things that I remember from my very first read through, this is one of the details that I do remember. I knew that Siberian had another form, but I didn't remember anything about it. And so that I'm reading that bit just gave me shivers. And I was like, oh, it's happening. It's happening.
Yeah, this is definitely a fun reveal. And it makes sense too. I think that, we've, learned all about these super powerful people, but they always kind of make sense, It's like, okay, like they're super powerful, but they've got something or some like small crack or something
Yeah.
to break them. And so it finally is like, okay, yes, now we know why Siberian is so powerful. It's because she's literally not there.
Yeah.
It's essentially a created, unstoppable force that nothing can touch. Everything slides off. Nothing can withstand it, Which is, it's wild. Before we get to that, though, and talk more about that, I do like the little kind of homely moment that they have before all of the action begins. Taylor waking up, talking with Alec casually about all the terrible things Alec has done.
Yeah.
Just small things that he's done. No big deal.
Just the little stuff.
Yeah,
just
like,
the little stuff.
Yeah, Jesus. There's a sentence, I don't remember what he says, but I was like, Alec, everything in there that you just said is a mess.
It's just a mess.
Yeah. So, and you just get the sense of them kind of being like, yeah, these are a lot of messed up people trying to figure out how to make things work.
Yeah. And
I like that,
kind of reminding us that there are still secrets about this group that we still don't know. And like it's easy to like Alec because of all of his little quips and stuff, but because of Cherish, we now know more about him. And it's not a pretty picture.
Yeah. I like the beginning of Alec and Aisha's friendship, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's just it feels like they shouldn't be friends, but then when you think about it, it's like, I get why they're hanging out. They probably have a lot of like they probably get each other a lot more than the other members do. And fun.
This
fun
is every couple of kids that I have in my youth group that I just like look at them and I'm like, this will not end well, and it never does. And I can only like sit there and judgily be like, you're 14. Like, please don't be doing everything that you're currently doing.
That's just in general.
Yeah. Well, they're the two that feel most like teenagers in this group, even though technically they all are like they feel like the most teen, with their like little giggling from the kitchen. Like I love that kind of very real normalness, normalcy that is happening amongst all the crazy things with the Slaughterhouse 9.
Yeah.
And I will put my Aisha hate to the side just to say that just like her brother, she proceeds to nail Taylor to the wall.
Ugh.
Like, man.
Yeah.
No, she's smart. She's quick.
There's some line. I feel like there's some line in the scene too where her and Alec high five, and it is that moment that you're talking about, Alan. But you just kind of love it. Like I just kind of love it anyway.
For sure.
They both have like, because Alec probably actually brings out the more reserved side of Aisha, and Aisha probably draws out the more goober goblin energy out of Alec.
Probably, yeah.
I like it too because they both Aisha and Alec kind of have that same desire for family that they don't have, and so seeing them not just bond together over that, but sort of through each other are able to interact with the others. Like I feel like they're the friends off to the side in the background that are like making bets off of what's going to happen. Like, Taylor says something stupid that clearly confesses her love for Brian, and Alec just sighs and slides a $5 bill over to Aisha.
Yes.
Something like they've got the side bets going.
I love it. Love it. I love seeing that friendship, camaraderie. Kind of, I don't know. It brings down all the weight of what's about to happen in this arc to start off with such like a chill moment.
It's the deep breath before the plunge.
Indeed.
As one wizard once said.
Which wizard, Jacob?
Oh, Gandalf.
You know what? I'm going to say Elminster, and maybe one of you.
Dumbledore said it in the 5th episode of season 1 of Deep Space Nine of the show Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yes.
He was speaking to Aslan.
Yep.
I've heard that.
No.
I love that scene.
It's like that T-shirt that all the nerds hate, where it's like quote by Dumbledore. It's like, use the Force, Frodo.
And it's got Jean. It's got Picard on it.
Picard. Fantastic.
Shall we?
Well, we're
chapter?
fucking nerds. Yep. Chapter 2. So, Siberian is hunting down Panacea, and they're all kind of tracking the situation. And Skitter works to help Amy try and escape, all the while she hunts for the real Siberian. She has a little bit of difficulty there while Amy tries to fight her, but trying to keep an eye out for her all the same.
Maybe I'm late to the Amy party on this one.
The Amy party is in full swing, but go ahead.
No. I just mean with the community, because this is the first time I've been not just reading it and just thoroughly like eating it up and enjoying it. Like this time I'm actually like swishing it around in my mouth. And something that I thought about this time when thinking about Amy is that given what we know about powers and kind of how aggressive they tend to be. And, for those who know, but Amy, I think in part might be so miserable as a human being because she is actively fighting against her like the fact that she has powers. And that she's constantly, like, even when she is using them, which she doesn't want to do, she's doing it in a very passive, on the back end of things. She is not a frontliner. She is she is avoiding frontline interactions. But that is what her power wants to do. And it makes me wonder if, while, not to take any agency away from her decisions and her actions, but it does make me think a lot about, like, why is she so miserable? Why is she like this? Maybe it's because part of her personality right now is constantly in contention with her power.
No, I think that's
that,
I mean, I'm marking the time because maybe we'll cut this.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that is the case. I think that's all but confirmed by Wildbow, is that her misery, because it's not just her. I think there's other characters as well we might get to later, but that's part of the character is there's misery in fighting against what her power is supposed to do.
Right.
So this is why I'm saying,
spoilers.
am I late to the Amy party on that I just didn't realize before?
No, and as we get through the story, I think that's a big part of her character that's pretty fun to get into. But
and part of that too, Alan, I don't think you need to feel bad for missing it, because I'm literally only thinking about that now because you said it. Um,
That's a
but
good
it is
insight.
one of those things
Think
that's
so,
very easy to miss, and yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense. I don't know. This is too, though. I know a couple episodes ago we were kind of talking about just not liking Amy that much, and I kind of feel like this was a. There were these moments here where I was just like, Amy, please,
Yeah.
please.
Right.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just so frustrating sometimes.
Yeah.
Just like,
Although running
I have so
from
many thoughts.
Siberian,
I mean, I know. I
Yeah,
obviously
No,
The
I
slow
can't
bite.
blame her.
If
The
we
slow
want to
bite.
talk about,
I
no,
mean,
it's a slow bite. She got 3 bites already.
yeah.
You know?
There is no pulling
Ugh.
away from the Siberian when she is slowly dragging your fingers towards her mouth.
That's not what I'm saying.
What
Remember,
are you saying?
it's a 3-strike rule with Siberian. She catches you 3 times, it's game over. She kills you.
But clearly Siberian's having fun with this. Like she's enjoying
Right.
this
Amy,
more than
this
usual.
privileged little bitch. It's just she gets 4
What?
bites where
What?
other people only get 3.
This is
you
such
know?
a random thing to be.
Yeah,
It's just,
Shut
I
up.
don't know why this set me off so much. But like it starts
You
off
just
with her
hate
biting,
Amy.
and I'm not gonna blame. Yes, that is correct. I do hate Amy. We
Oh,
talked
wow.
about this. My
Yeah.
We've
appreciation for
established
Amy
this.
ran out like all the way back in arc. What was it? Like 9?
Oh, sure.
Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
whatever that 9, 10, wherever
Well-
that kicked off. That she lost. That was the last of my sympathy. It's gone.
Okay, but my thing though is that with Amy is that she, even though she's the worst sometimes, and she's definitely the worst multiple times in this arc, specifically with Atlas, but like she's fucking terrified. She hates her own power. She hates herself. She hates everything about everything all the time. Like this poor girl is not having a good day of it.
Yeah.
And like it's easy to look, and I think specifically in this chapter, because trying to stick chapter by chapter, but with Skitter kind of like analyzing her and thinking to herself, well, if I had that power, blah blah blah. But but you don't though. And like Amy is a scared kid. And the whole with great power comes great responsibility. And like Amy obviously can't handle that. And she makes bad decisions, as we see over and over again. But I can't hate her in the same way that I might hate, I don't know. I don't hate anybody from this show. Like even the
Yeah.
people that are awful, like Bonesaw or Jack, like I still like them in the ways that make them interesting. But like with Amy, she is so stuck. And we see that later with her conversation with Jack, but like I can't hate her, especially when she's being hunted down by the Siberians, slowly getting her fingers bitten off.
To build off of that, I think Amy, I love Amy as a character, to counter Alan here.
Yes,
But I
thank
think
you.
Whoa. As
A little bit of
character
balance,
written,
please.
it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm talking in universe. Like
yeah, okay, fair. But even in universe, I still love Amy because I think she feels incredibly real as a
Mhm.
character.
Mhm.
I talk a lot. I think I've even mentioned on this podcast before. I made reference to probably something from Manchester by the Sea. I love Manchester by the Sea. Saddest movie I've ever seen. I'll never watch it again, but it's very, very good. Part of what makes it so good is that Casey Affleck's character, he plays it so well and it's so real that you just hate him because like you see yourself in everything that he's doing, and it's just
Yeah.
like he won't do what you want the character to do because he's a human. And it's just like I was screaming at him watching that movie because I'm like, just fucking talk to your wife, damn it. And he just won't. And it's like, oh, it hurts so much. And I feel that with Amy a lot, where it's just like,
Yeah.
girl, just do the right thing that we all know you should do because we read stories and we know how they're supposed to go, and you won't do it. But it's because she feels so real. Like that's a
Yeah.
very realistic reaction to those types of powers, is just being incredibly overwhelmed and not knowing what to do, and seeing what is very clearly would be for many people a blessing to have her type of ability, and she sees it as a curse, is really well written. And like, we're obviously here because we love Wildbow, and we're going to talk about how much we love his writing all the time. But just to say it again, because it can't be said enough,
Yeah.
very well written character.
Yeah, it's man, this goes back to my hate of melodrama and whatnot, but I really enjoy Wildbow for the most part because his characters are often in terrible situations that they kind of have no power over, um, and even though they have flaws as characters, I'm not typically upset by the main character. Um, they do what they can. There's very few times that I go, this character clearly should have done this. That dumb idiot. Like I relate to the main character so well with Wildbow, and part of that is because the things that are defeating them, that are beating them, are not in their control. They're not like directly tied to their personality. Um,
Mhm.
and for me, when I think like, man, I have a problem, and maybe this is just me, I have a problem, and it's fucking up my life. Just fix it, you know,
Mhm.
like internally.
Yeah.
And Amy is the antithesis of that, where there is, and you know, I do see these people sometimes, and I want to grab them by the hair and just be like, just stop. It's the who's the is it Steve Carell that does that? Have you
Bob Newhart?
Bob Newhart? Well, have you just tried not doing that?
No.
Just
Yeah.
don't. Which sounds like terrible advice for so many things, but for a lot of times, just don't do that thing. It really isn't that hard. Like, just don't do it.
It's like the reverse Dwight quote. Whenever I'm about to do something, I ask myself, would Amy do that thing?
There's the meme. There's the
And if
meme.
she-
Write it
If
down.
she would not, then I do that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Marking the
Yeah.
time.
And I
Writing
think-
down the meme.
Yeah, I think this gets into 14.3 as well, where I think the line that got me was where Amy says something to the effect of, "I'm not going to do that because if it breaks my rules, and if I break my rules, I'm no
Yes.
different than you guys."
Yes.
And I'm like,
yes.
Mhm.
Amy,
Yes.
listen, you don't have to like the Undersiders,
Right.
but there's much worse threats out there, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
please.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Let me just real quick do 3 because let's just jump
Yeah,
right into
yeah.
it because
Yeah.
3 Panacea is convinced to help Skitter in the form of some relay bugs, and they have a very long and interesting conversation. The Protectorate arrive and Tattletale talks to Director Pigott, and Skitter finds the real Siberian in a van. But yeah, no, first that conversation with Panacea, and Tattletale tries to talk to her, and Panacea just shuts her down so fast, and it's like, I'm not talking to you, and she says it's because of what happened at the bank, which feels like so long ago. Like it should be water under the bridge at this point, and like you are still hung up on that. Like, ugh.
I will say I kind of get that. The longer the story goes, like I still love Tattletale and Lisa, but the longer it goes, part of me is like, yeah, she's kind of a bitch.
She is kind of a
Oh
bitch,
no,
yeah.
no. Tattletale
sure.
is
For
the
sure.
worst to be on the receiving end of things. That being
Yeah.
said, Amy, she like sits there and blames Tattletale as the catalyst for everything going wrong.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
like she said something
It would have
that
exploded one
bothered
way or the other.
it
Like
bothered
in
her,
Panacea, yeah.
and she was like, "Oh well, because I got irritated and paranoid about that. All of a sudden, I began making the worst life decisions possible, and
God.
really, that's Tattletale's fault." It's like, no, Tattletale literally just was like, "I'll tell her if you do anything," and then left and never mentioned it again. But you sat there and just wouldn't let it go. Ugh.
Yeah. What you were saying, Nick, earlier though, with Panacea in this moment of her like, her morality here of trying to like decide if she's gonna help the Undersiders or help Skitter in the form of like modifying her bugs or modifying her brain. Like
Mhm.
her weird understanding of like who is good and who is bad and the heroes and the villains, it feels so contrary to everything that we've learned so far, and that even like Tattletale has said that like this is really just a big game, and it's all about the like, are you playing the game, and how does that affect your life? But Panacea
Yeah.
sees it as so much more black and white rather than this big wavy grayscale, and her stubbornness is obnoxious to me. This idea that like, no, you're a villain. So why would I ever help you? Like, bitch, we are up against the Slaughterhouse 9. Are you kidding me? And of course, she doesn't want to help Skitter in any way that may last longer than like today. And even the little things that she does with Atlas and just like, it feels so petty. And it's like, now is not the time to be petty. And your weird moral compass is already fucked up, Panacea. And it's like she's the only one who doesn't see it.
I think that's what gets me, is it feels very petty in light of other things. Like, I completely get her grudge against Tattletale. I completely get her being in a ton of pain from everything that's going on. That makes a ton of sense to me. But it's the situation that they're in currently.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like if your house was burning down and you yelled, "Hey, could you please go get my computer? I've got really crucial work on it. And if it burns up, like, it's right there, grab it. But my legs hurt. I can't get it in time. You're literally right next to it. Please grab it." And they're like, "Well, didn't you use that computer to send a mean message about me on Facebook?
Oh, gosh.
You really shouldn't have done that." Like, that's kind of how it feels to me sometimes.
Yeah.
That's
No,
pretty
I
funny.
think that's exactly how it feels.
That's good.
And you're like, "Listen, we can talk about that problem later, but right now, I really need this."
Punish me for that shit later. Now is
Exactly.
not the fucking time.
Exactly.
And just real quick, remind me, because I'm drawing a huge blank here. During the bank heist, did Panacea instigate that interaction? Like, they didn't know
she was messing with the powers and then walked
Glory
up
Girl.
and conked what's her face and
I was going to say,
Skitter in the back of the head.
Did she hit Skitter?
Yeah.
Did she start that?
Well, she was manipulating the bugs too, which was fucking with Taylor's power.
Yeah.
But Taylor didn't realize it.
Yeah.
And then she's the one who got Glory Girl in there.
Yeah.
And bombs Taylor with a fire extinguisher.
Right. No, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. You're part of this, girl.
Yeah. And technically, Tattletale didn't say anything. Tattletale acted like she was going to say something, but she never actually said anything in that moment anyways. But it did cause this like, oh, clearly Panacea has a secret. Oh, what is it? But Tattletale never actually says it anyways. It's like, it's all in Panacea. It's all in her head, in like this paranoid. And I think this comes back. I'm going to tie this back into later with Jack, and I'll talk more about it when we get there. But like the idea of her morality of like, how do you see yourself, Amy? Because it seems like if the world is so black and white, you are trying to be good, but you don't feel like maybe you deserve it or you are good. And that makes her try harder, which then, of course, is like doing the right thing for the wrong reason. And it's like, it just, yeah. It's very
now, Reddit user Sleepy Stapler and I were conversating, and and they were pointing out stuff about Amy, and brought up what I like to call the Harry Potter morality, which Taylor also has, with bullies. But it's basically good people do good things. Whatever a good person does is good. And whatever a bad person does is bad. And Amy just says that out loud. But, just like in Harry Potter, where like you'll have a bad guy do something and then the heroes of the story will do the exact same thing, but maybe even worse, like a couple pages later. It's like, well, how come they are, painted in a bad light and also don't get in trouble for it? It's like, well, because they're good guys.
Yeah. It's
And
that blanket
that
black
is
and white morality.
That is Taylor a lot of the time, and certainly Amy right here. Amy's just, you're bad guys, so you can only do bad things.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, Taylor's like, we're bad guys, but that does not mean we're bad guys.
Yeah.
Nice.
Moving along here, was still within chapter 3, because believe it or not, there's more characters than Amy in this arc.
Also, I was going to
Surprise,
say I
surprise.
have so many notes on the arc.
Surprise.
Like how we should change one of the lines where like I think it's Taylor's walking away and she's like, "You come with me." She's like, "But I'm scared." She's like, "I'm scared, but I'm more pissed off than scared." And it clearly, she's like, "I can't go." And Taylor should have turned to her and she's like, "Yeah, I'm more pissed off than scared, and you're more pissing yourself than pissed off."
That's a terrible line, Alex.
That's a great line. That's a
That's
banger
a
right
terrible
there.
line. Someone has to tell him. And it'll be
that
me.
definitely sounds like something a drunk person would have said.
Yes.
Like, you're the pisser.
You're the pisser because I'm just pissed.
Nah, she's pissing herself more than she's pissed off.
No,
That's a great
it's a bad
line.
line. It's a bad line.
First
Drop that.
draft
Been
from
vetoed.
the Netflix
We'll workshop
AI
it. We'll fix it in
scriptwriter bot.
post. Also, I meant to say it in the entire arc before, but Amy can't use her powers on herself. Sucks to suck.
Yeah, that's a bummer when it comes to losing fingers.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Which also made me think how many other
realised.
people can't use their powers on themselves. Like we know that because of literally the Manton effect with like fire and stuff. But like, let's say Regent got a cramp in his leg. He couldn't
He's fucked.
undo that. Yeah, he can't undo that with his,
Gotta wait that out.
his magic powers. And like, how often does Tattletale think about the fact that she might be lying to herself or something, and she couldn't suss that out?
Well, we even see that kind of in the rebound effects that these powers have, right? Like Regent's power, when he overextends himself, he gets like he hurts himself physically. He twitches. He gets those cramps. Tattletale gets horrible headaches. Dinah gets horrible headaches. I could imagine. I feel like they've even talked about other characters who have like shape-changing powers. Just having different effects.
if they try to tinker outside of their focus,
they can
things go
backfire
wrong.
outside of their focus.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that is an interesting little point there about about Panacea's power, which I do think is interesting. And kind of sucks. You're the healer who can't heal yourself.
Or, I mean, hey, we get to see an obvious one in this chapter, in the next couple chapters, because Siberian cannot give her creator immunity.
Oh, you mean the Manton effect? That's foreshadowing.
What?
Gosh.
Okay, but we got to keep moving. The Protectorate does arrive, and Tattletale talks to Director Piggott, which I love the way that Tattletale's like, what's his name? Is like, oh yeah, here, let me. Why don't you take an earbud? She's like, nah, I'm already tapped in.
Yeah.
But I do love the back and forth though, where Piggott's like, "You already tapped in, right? Okay, yeah, good. That's what we thought."
Yeah. I love that. And the little back and forth where she says something like, a smart woman, a genius, no, but you are a smart woman. And and Piggott's just cackling on the other end of the line. And just like, I feel like she and Tattletale need to just have a sit down where they just like have coffee and like compare notes on like,
it would be unstoppable if they were on the same side.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I think in like the very first episode of Dissecting Worm, Alan and I at the same time fan casted Pigott as Viola Davis, and I just cannot unsee her as Pigott.
It's really difficult to not.
She's the main. Hell, I got to look up who that is because I don't remember.
I know. I'm also looking her up really quick.
She plays that character.
Yes, she's in the main character in How to Get Away with Murder. My wife and I have been watching that show. Funnily enough,
freaking amazing.
Yeah,
and she plays the very similar character in DC.
Doesn't Viola Davis basically plays a very Pigott role in the Suicide Squad movies, right?
Yep.
Yes, she is hard ass in charge of superpowers. The person,
absolutely.
I'm pretty sure she even plays. She might even voice the same character from the Justice League Unlimited series.
Oh, she might. That's funny. I think you might be right.
Because if she doesn't,
I have to look it up and know.
I need to know who did.
Anyway, fantastic actress. It's hard for me to imagine not her in that role.
Yeah.
Which is funny. She reprised that role in Peacemaker's show. Yeah, she does a very good job.
Yes.
Anyway, all that to say, that's who I imagine as Pigott reading these chapters. And just, the back and forth between Pigott and Tattletale is great. Fun character. This is kind of Pigott's big moment in this arc. This is her final her big hurrah.
Yeah, her plan is coming into action. And which, I'm just going to go into it because this seems like we're flowing. Chapter 4, Director Pigott tells the Undersiders that they are going to firebomb the Slaughterhouse 9. And the Undersiders rush to warn the local teams that are fighting at the location, which is part of the Undersiders and part of the Travelers. And Panacea makes Skitter a giant flying beetle. But
Atlas.
Yes, Atlas. But
Finally.
like her plan to bomb everything that she said in the last arc is finally happening, and I mean we're gonna do it, and if everything goes according to plan, then we take out the Slaughterhouse 9, right? Right?
Yeah. There's
Yeah.
so many things in this that I am here for. One, starting off, the gas mask, same uniform heroes.
Oh, I love that.
Coming out.
Genius.
Oh,
Who-
Yes, very smart.
It bodes ill, but holy cow, it's so badass.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like what they tried to do at the bank heist of like, oh, we're gonna switch costumes. Like, okay, but we're gonna actually do something that works here. We're gonna have some, where you can do what you gotta do and not necessarily people know who you are.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's something that's touched on and in a few comics, and also The Boys, because that's more recent media. But having actual working like paramilitary superheroes with the uniforms and the body armor and the gas masks,
it's intimidating.
oh my gosh, it's intimidating. It gives like the same vibes of like, what is it, Max Tack? For all you cyberpunk people, like how you feel when Max Tack shows up and you're just like, well, we're done. Everybody pack it up.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And I love the implication too with their uniforms that like they're obviously prepared for something that they know is coming and nobody else does.
Yeah.
And everyone's just gonna have to try to figure it out. Oh yeah.
Right.
It's great. Like, what are they doing?
And
Yeah.
just the
Planning.
balls on Pigott to just be like, we're firebombing the city. And it's like,
Man.
And then
Well,
damn.
a neighborhood.
I love the to quote an interaction from Star Wars, basically Skitter asking, "But is that legal?" And Pigott just replying, "I will make it legal."
Yeah.
Yeah.
But literally.
I am the PRT.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh man, now I'm gonna do some memes.
It's okay. I'm writing all
Please
of these.
make
Okay,
all
good.
the memes, please. It's just
Good.
more stuff that I can use on social media.
There we go.
Okay. Just because there's so much and I don't want to skip over any of it, the only things I feel like I want to mention are Siberians' hunting tactics and the fact that they find the van that they think Siberians' real bodies in. And then also, of course, we don't want to miss Atlas. Like, that's just...
Of course not. We cannot.
yeah.
We cannot miss Atlas.
But with Siberians' hunting tactics, just the sheer confidence that this woman, now knowing is fake, but that this character exudes is just incredible. Like,
it's
just
amazing.
Yeah, it's terrifying. It's other things.
Yeah.
What other
Mark
things?
me
Nick?
down as scared and horny.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Correct. Yes.
I love how when Skitter tries to throw Siberian off by like bending a cluster like a clone her things of bugs around a corner. Instead of going around the corner, Siberian just cuts through whatever
through the
building.
Yeah.
Just right there. Just like, oh yeah, that's right. She's
Right, of course.
She's not going to get tripped up. She's going
Not
to walk
even
through
at
the
there's
building.
two kinds of people.
Like
There's
walking
Shadow
through dead
Stalker
leaves.
who can walk through walls, and there's Siberian who can
Yeah.
also walk through walls.
Just in two very different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The way that she is described as like walking through buildings and over the ground, just like it very cat-like, very, the huntress. And it's just so, oh man, it's very dancer-esque to me,
Mhm.
which is like
Yeah.
it's so graceful, and at the same time she's like this raw power, and like in her kind of conversation with Bitch from a couple arcs ago, she gets the whole or she exudes the whole wild animal thing while still being just as graceful as a cat. And
Mhm.
And
yeah.
you're like, I need to submit. You're like, in that universe, somebody submits Siberian to the men drawing women subreddit. And they're just like, okay, it's kind of cool, but come on with these proportions.
Okay,
And then
but
only to
actually,
find out it in fact
It
was
is-
created
it
by a
is. Yeah.
fucking nerd in a van.
I love it so much. And like the long flowing hair that's constantly flowing in the wind, even though there's no wind. Like I just, oh my God.
Great.
Like I get it. Like we've all played video games and created those characters that we're like playing and like, oh yeah, big boobs, long, soft hair, like heck yeah.
Tall Dommy energy.
Tall, dommy energy, naked with black and white stripes. Like you bet.
Oh man, I can think of at least a few characters that meet that description that I've made for D&D. You know,
Right. Yes.
Naturally.
We interrupt our scheduled program to bring you a word from our sponsor, Zencastr, a one-stop shop for all your podcasting needs. When we first started this podcast, we knew we needed a service that would let us record remotely. After doing some research, Zencastr was the obvious choice. We started using Zencastr and never looked back. It's super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. All you do is log in, invite people to join your room, and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. You can record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. You can rest easy even if you have an unstable connection, knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality. We do all our recording in Zencastr, and when the episode is ready, we can distribute it to all major podcast platforms. Zencastr has made podcasting so much easier with its all-in-one podcasting platform and tools. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use my code BrocktonbaybC, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experiences I do for all my podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. That's zencastr.com/pricing and use our code BrocktonbaybC. And now back to our scheduled programming.
Yeah. But Atlas is
And
cool.
We got Atlas.
I
Gotta love our boy Atlas.
So cool. And I love that Skitter has to figure out how to fly him. Like that because he's so different from anything else that she's ever like manned, she has to learn how like the air currents work because it's not just intuitive. Like because he doesn't know, because this is a whole new brand new creature with a weird digestive system and weird wings, and like it has to function in a way that she has to man it like a plane or like, a helicopter or something, as opposed to like, oh yes, a beetle that's just been scaled up. Like this thing doesn't know how to fly on its own. And I love that she has to like figure that out. And the little comments that Skitter makes as she's like flying later is like the come on, kicking off the ground, like trying to push off. Like I can see it so well in my head. And it's that's so cool. So cool. But also fuck Panacea.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna get to. I love that.
Agreed.
That even when Skitter finally convinces her to like do something more to help Atlas, she then at the end is just like, that was kind of trash. I'm gonna ignore what she did, because she does something like she's make it easier to fly or something like that, but it's messing with Skitter's ability to control him.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's just like can't even use it.
She's like, fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, she talks about how like when she mentions that when she was conked out, that her powers would still work without her, and like, well, if I were to fall off of Atlas, I couldn't control him. He would just keep flying away. Like,
right.
And so I have to, dismantle the commands in his head.
Oh man. But the reveal that Panacea, what she can do is she's actually manipulating proteins and microorganisms.
Yes.
And all of those things. Like she makes Atlas out of other bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So cool.
later we find out she can make other things out of bugs, including, parts for her sister who got horribly mangled in the fight we'll talk about shortly.
Not just bugs either.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not just the men, but the women and the children too.
Kitties and
Wouldn't
the
put it
puppos.
past her, you know?
You know?
No, I mean, this is great insight into kind of what we were talking about, where Panacea really seems to be so afraid of her power that she won't even consider using it to its full extent.
Right.
Like she's doing, like she's still in the introduction to her power. She's on the prelude, and in terms of what she can do. I mean,
does she even know what she can do? Like that's
Probably
the thing
not.
is like
Yeah.
the more she plays with it here, does she realize as she's building Atlas that like, oh shit, I can do this? And like, does that like how much of her building Atlas here plays into her and Glory Girl later?
I do wonder, and this is truly me wondering, because I completely forget if we ever in the future talk about Panacea's trigger event, but I wonder if her trigger was like incredibly traumatizing when she manifested her powers for the first time, and that has played a factor in some of this. Like, did she touch somebody and they just disintegrated or something like that?
Straight
or just
gooed someone.
Yeah, just exactly right.
Straight gooed someone.
Like I'm curious. I don't know. I truly can't remember if we ever talk about that in the future. But I wonder if there was just something wrapped up with her trigger that caused her to be so afraid of what she's capable of. Put a pin in it. Make a note. We'll come back to it.
Yep.
See if that comes back. And moving on. Any final thoughts before we enter? I think we enter the fight here now.
Yes,
the first
we do.
fight. First of a few.
Yeah, the first fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I think it's Taylor when she's walking away from Amy. I'm trying to remember. I just wrote down idiot, and then Taylor gets it.
I think that's when Panacea first tells her that she's not going to help. Is that chapter 3 maybe? Yeah.
He even says something like, "You're a waste of your own power." Like,
yeah.
Like you're a waste of space and air.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about air, but she has so much capability to help, and she just won't. And it's all because of the rules in her head, and it's frustrating.
I've mentioned before how I feel like Amy is written in a way where she would have been a really interesting protagonist if the story was written from her perspective. I feel like she's a really interesting character to follow. However, I'm glad she's not.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything.
Oh, it'd be so frustrating to
all the
read.
fights.
Yeah. just completely zoned out for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Comes back in afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
But speaking of fights.
Yep. So chapter 5, so we've Skitter and Weld fight Mannequin and Crawler to protect the heroes that have been frozen by Clock Blocker in order to survive the bomb. Specifically, Clock Blocker and Cash. And then as they're all released, Glory Girl is injured by Crawler's acid vomit.
Ooh.
That's
gross.
Wow.
That part,
Just, yeah.
that part hurt.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, getting into this fight, though, I did just want to say the intensity of Cash putting everybody into his prism and then Clock Blocker just quickly freezing himself and Cash, and then the bombs. It feels like it was almost immediately after hit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like just
pretty close.
It's pretty close.
It's
He doesn't
so
know
close.
how long you can freeze them for, so it's got to be pretty much like last minute.
almost.
And that is
Because it's what, a minute to 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
or
something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
So he really can't waste it.
No,
Yeah.
he can't. He really can't.
It's
And
And
just
like
like that
with-
scene in particular was just one I was like, oh wow,
It's so good.
got me.
Cutting it close.
Cutting
Yeah.
it way too close. And with Crawler and Mannequin like throwing the cars around to like basically
Trying
stack
to-
them up on top.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that's terrifying. The idea that at any second you could come unfrozen and this car would be sitting on top of you waiting to topple you. That is
And because
Mhm.
you don't process things. I don't know what it's like inside of
there's
Cash's
you have
dimension,
no
but
time.
yeah, you don't process things when you're in Clock Blocker's frozen thing.
Right.
So
okay, so I had a question about that.
as far as we know,
Right.
as far as we know.
Can Clockblocker go? Can he go around the Manton effect? Can he actually freeze people, or is he freezing their suits that they're in?
So
think
he can freeze people, but I
has to be
think
people.
maybe he can only freeze his suit.
So he's
Okay.
he's awake in there.
That's what I was
Maybe
wondering. Are they
I
awake
think-
in this frozen suits?
No,
watching
he
this
can
unfold?
freeze people for sure. But
They're
he's
all
also frozen himself during the Leviathan fight.
Yeah, he
I
froze
don't
himself during the
remember.
Oh, you're
Leviathan
right.
fight.
You're
And
right. He did. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that we really know exactly how his power would interact with Leviathan, but I almost get the sense that it would have been like Leviathan would have been able to kill him if he hadn't been able to totally freeze himself. I don't know though. That's a big assumption. And we
Well,
don't
they
know
talk
that for
about
sure.
he freezes them, and then I believe he freezes his suit, and they go get him the fuck out of there, and Trickster
Yeah,
swaps him
because
out.
Trickster swaps him. Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Trickster's able to swap him. That's true.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Anyway, no, you're right. Yeah, I forgot he. So yeah, he can freeze people.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what
Oh,
Cash does.
and
so Cash,
sorry, I was to say confirmation with an interview with Wildbow confirms his costume, not himself.
Oh, okay.
okay.
So he is awake in there. Because Cash hides away everybody, puts them into the parallel dimension thingy, whatever, pocket dimension. I guess it's a pocket dimension.
Mhm.
And then Clockblocker freezes him and himself. And then the idea is after the bomb has gone off, they'll pop on out of it, and Cash can pull everybody out of the pocket dimension, which he does. Hence why Glory Girl gets injured by the acid. But
Better keep him alive.
Yeah.
gosh, also, can I just say for this arc, because like what you said earlier, Nick, this arc is just so you can't not read. I listened to it so I could be working on other stuff and also not have to actually read with my eyes and just read with my ears. And I am just hearing Cash, not seeing it spelled. And it wasn't until much, much, much later in this arc that I realized that Cash was spelled like clear your cache, like in your browser, like your cookies and your cache. And that makes sense because it's like, oh, the cache, like he stashes people away, like it's a cache. Got it. But I was very confused for a long time. I was like, why is he called Cash? It's cool. It's fine. I got there eventually, but
yeah. You got there.
But he's a very cool. I love the idea of the pocket dimension, being able to use that, stash away the heroes, until we need them again. And I think Taylor says it, but the question of, well, if Cash dies, what happens to everybody in the pocket dimension? It's like terrifying. Like everybody that's in there, Glory Girl and everybody else, like if Cash dies, we're fucked.
I like to, at the end, after he spits them all out and he's hurt, he just throws himself into his own pocket dimension.
Yep.
And Skitter's like, oh, well, I hope that's cool. I hope he's fine. Like,
I hope he's all right.
I don't know.
He might just be gone now.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty cool.
I do have to mention Taylor when she's running around throwing grenades. And she just like blows a car off of
I love
the
that.
other. Yeah, that's cool. It's not how grenades work, but
Good job, trying.
You'd just be shooting a bunch of dust and stuff out from under that car.
Yeah.
It's not blowing that car off of there.
I was like, that's a huge grenade.
Yeah.
Also, like even if that's how that was working, like I would never have thrown a grenade. Like with the even the slight possibility that they would have woken up as the grenade was going off. Like, well, I mean, I guess either way they're gonna get crushed by the car. So what do you have to lose? But like, I would. That was a scary moment. It was very risky.
But the most scariest moment is, of course, the acid spit on Glory Girl as she's flying up. Then he headbutts her, spikes her like a goddamn volleyball.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Like, breaks the thing, acid all over her.
That's just,
ooh.
I like the idea that...
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, please.
Okay, very well. I like the idea that maybe Glory Girl's weakness, the fact that her force field can be shattered, maybe wasn't like public knowledge until the bank heist.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. Actually.
Oh, nice. Same wavelength.
I love it.
And that the Slaughterhouse 9, being the intelligent, evil beings that they are, would have made note of that. And, pretty much everyone would have made note of that. And so, because that feels very intentional, that Crawler hit her with acid and then headbutted her to break the force field.
It did feel intentional. I don't know if they knew so much as
okay, but the thought of that, like, okay, so just like in the same way with Siberian, like, this is a character that is... This is a cape that is seen to be practically impossible to take down. And so the one time that we can find out that they can actually get hurt, or we find their one weakness, like, that is something that people are going to latch onto. And the fact that this happened the way that it did, like, it felt like they had, like, Crawler had some insider knowledge to be able to do it. Because he like targeted her and like did those things. And it worked. And there wasn't like this question of like, oh, I'll hit her a bunch of times and then maybe, like, it feels like he knew.
Yeah, maybe. It's hard to know what Crawler knows.
Yeah.
Because
true.
Because here's the
he
thing,
just
like,
doesn't talk about it.
he was a normal person at once, right?
Was he?
What?
I mean, normal in the sense of a regular, a non-parahuman.
Yeah.
Okay,
he clearly has some issues.
Yeah.
What
was his trigger? I don't want to know. Never mind.
Getting too turned on.
I think honestly, he's just a huge masochist, and his trigger was just somebody being way too polite to him.
So he went to Canada?
He visited Canada. Went to a Tim Hortons once.
One Tim Hortons.
And it was so traumatic.
It was so dramatic. That was his trigger.
I would like to think that that he had just one of the best, kink sessions of his life, and that his trigger wasn't traumatic. Like, because
I don't know if I want to think about that.
We tend to talk about trigger events as traumatic events.
Bad traumatic events.
Yeah, bad. What other kinds of traumatic events would you have?
I don't know. Aren't you trying to make a point that this was a good traumatic event?
I'm making the point that triggers might not have to be trauma induced. They just really tend to, like, high intensity situations. So let's just say he's getting the spanking of his life. He's like, oh my gosh. And then, then he triggers and he's like, oh, I'm spent.
Oh, I can't. No.
And it's all just pent up frustration, because after he triggers, then guess what? The spankings don't hurt anymore because he's built up an immunity to it.
I don't.
His ass is like diamond.
Don't. Michael. Help.
Let him cook.
This whole character,
Jacob, you're on to something.
He's not a masochist. He just wants to orgasm again.
No.
Thank you. I'm glad you said it, Jacob.
I don't like it.
I'm sorry.
Let's say it.
That's the horny wow. Let's move on.
That is the horny wow.
Oh, and that's the horny wow. Now, time for the next segment.
Yeah, moving on.
Jacob, I'm just glad that you understand.
Oh no! Don't put that on him.
We can't.
Anyway,
we can't move past, and we do have to give a quick shout out to our boy Weld, who held his own against Crawler.
He really did.
And Mannequin.
Crawler.
Yeah. And Mannequin, both.
And
in his own
he
way.
was one
Mannequin might be a net loss for the Slaughterhouse 9 at this point.
That's
his bitch levels are kind of high.
I need to make a meme for all of my fellow sports fans following the NFL. When Tony, for the Kansas City Chiefs wide receiver, there was a meme going around because he's such a bad wide receiver that Tony was activated on the roster. What a blow for the Chiefs! Like that's Mannequin. Like, oh, Mannequin joins the fight. Oh, the Slaughterhouse 9. What a blow!
I don't know if they'll ever recover.
Yeah.
Well, so chapter 6. Skitter names the beetle Atlas, which I love. Love that.
Atlas.
He deserves a name. He's such a good boy.
Yes.
We get Glory Girl out of there, and Panacea heals her sort of using Skitter's bugs as protein in order to kind of like fix her, although she is a wreck, and then runs away. by basically messing with her head again and having her fly them away, which is just God, Amy. Again, have we learned nothing?
Amy doesn't learn. Amy sits
No.
on a little cardboard piece that she's pulled out of the garbage and just scooches down the hill.
That is an image. It's
And
just
she goes, "Why? Why are you pushing me?" Meanwhile,
you're
everybody at the
scooching
top of the
yourself.
hill,
Yeah.
Yeah.
stop it, just stop it.
Gosh. I mean, I do love the ingenuity here that's happening. You know, with the protein and the bugs, like I do think that that's really freaking cool, and I think that this is like an excellent moment for Amy to show off her powers, to show off what she's capable of, to kind of have this moment with the Undersiders and Glory Girl, and she's given a chance here to redeem herself. Tattletale tells her, "This is your chance to fix things, put it right, and then walk away if need be, but like fix what you fucked."
Or didn't fuck,
Or
thank
didn't
God.
fuck. Well, mind fucked. and let it be. And she just can't let it go. She can't.
Yep.
I'm convinced, honestly, this was probably as much as this whole arc was painful in a lot of different ways and really heavy. I think that moment of Panacea being given the right thing to do and so considering herself a hero and still making the wrong decision. And you can see it in her head. She's convinced herself that what you said, Alan, she's convinced herself that she is the good guy. Therefore, everything she does is good. And it has to be, because if she can admit to herself one moment that she, is siding with the villains, that she maybe might be worse than she ever thought she was. And it's so horrific to watch her brain kind of calculate it and decide no, and then fly away with Glory Girl. It was, I think that was probably one of, I mean, there's a lot of hard moments, but that was like one of the biggest emotional gut punches for me in this arc.
Yeah. Also, the irony of Regent, calling the kettle black, being like,
yeah,
you mind raped her. I'm like, you real raped everyone.
Yeah. Like the fact
I don't know why you're getting judgy about this shit.
Well, because it's fucked. I mean, it's all fucked, but like extra fucked, especially someone who considers themselves so strongly to be a hero. Like,
Also, I'll you know what? I'll take an aside here. I'll defend. I'll make a case for Amy in this one instance versus Regent.
I'm shocked.
Regent is a rapist and controlled people's bodies to do that.
Yes.
We have established that.
Yes.
Amy did a mind fucky wucky one time and felt guilty and bad about it and
not guilty enough.
Tried to undo it.
Well,
no, she hasn't tried to undo it yet.
Hold on. At the beginning, tried to undo it. We'll get back into to how much I hate Amy in a second. But Regent has no qualms about his rapes. We even talk about how he just kind of like casually talks about that.
Right.
Yeah.
With no remorse either. But Amy does have some remorse there about that and actively tried to fix it at the time. And of course, Victoria wouldn't let her.
Well, of course.
Which like in that case, I'm kind of like, okay, like, breach of trust and all that, the whole thing there. But like, Victoria, just let her do it. And now we can get off of me defending Amy to Amy. It took a second to fuck her up. It should take a second to fix her. Like, don't get into here about, it's gonna be so much. It's gonna take so much
that have
longer.
Been created since then.
How short of a pathways did you like do that? Just make her go like, gross. I don't like you anymore. You did it the other way. Like, don't bullshit how complicated this was. It wasn't that complicated for you to snap it in the first place. Just snap your fingers again and undo it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it definitely feels like that. She's the worst.
Fucky wucky was the right phrase. I like that one. Just
Yeah.
fucky wucky.
Thank you. I created that myself. It's never been
Also,
used before.
props to Brian for figuring out Amy's powers so quickly that he was able to throw together a
Yeah.
stomach for Atlas.
Yeah.
A human digestive
A
system.
human
though.
stomach, but
And
hey.
also very creepy. It was so creepy.
Yeah.
Wow.
In my
Why
mind,
human?
though,
Why?
to
Why
accompany
Why,
the
why has
human
it got to be
stomach,
human?
Well, I mean, it's
In
what
my-
he's familiar with,
That's all
I
he
guess.
knows.
But
yeah.
it also means in my mind, though, that Atlas has like a human smile and human teeth. And
Oh no, no,
no,
that's not where I was just gonna go with. Oh, then we can throw him cheeseburgers and stuff.
Yeah.
There you
You
go.
know,
Actually, though. Well, no, he needs good veggies too, and eggs.
he needs
every
good
now and
veggies,
The
but
most
like
horrifying
chocolate ain't
thing.
gonna kill him. You know.
That's true.
It's the most horrifying thing. You do something, you're like rubbing his belly, and he starts laughing, and it's just Seth Rogen's laugh.
Oh, no.
Seth Rogen has the voice of Atlas.
I fucking
Okay.
love Seth Rogen so much. What a potato man. What a great.
he's great.
What a peach. What a peach. But yes, no, absolutely.
Seth Rogen, I know you listen, and I'm very sorry, but it is sometimes hard.
Everyone's
to listen
getting
to
shade
you.
today. What's going on?
Golly, yeah, for real.
That's what
though.
this whole arc
Everyone's getting
is.
attacked.
But also, Seth Rogen, please help us write the script. And
Oh my God. That'd be amazing. Don't even put that onto the universe. I don't need that kind of disappointment when it doesn't happen.
yeah, exactly. All right, let's keep moving. We're about halfway through here.
Yep, we're
We
back.
got a ways
Yep.
to go.
Called it.
Yep, chapter 7. Skitter heads to the Endbringer shelter looking for Jack and Bonesaw at the spot that we have been before. And provides Legend with hints as to the Slaughterhouse 9 locations. He's able to kind of, get shit done. Crawler and Mannequin die from the blast site. Huzzah! We are down 2 Slaughterhouse 9 members. Finally.
I'd like to think they blew up Mannequin, and they were like, "You got Mannequin," and they were like, "Who?" Like we were aiming for the
Alan?
real. We were
Alan?
aiming for the Slaughterhouse 9. We weren't aiming for Alan.
Well, we got Crawler,
Alan,
and then I guess Alan
the
too,
Barbie
I
doll over
suppose.
here.
But it's confirmed finally by Legend that they are out of the picture, which I don't know about you guys, but as someone who didn't remember this arc, I operated for the rest of the arc prepared for them to pop out at any moment because from what we know, they just don't die. But
I mean, yeah, that's a reasonable thing to assume, I think.
Kind of Crawler's power.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
Yeah.
it was nice to finally, be confirmed in the fact that like, okay. He's gone. I mean, I'm gonna look
Yeah.
over my shoulder, but he's gone.
Yeah, of course. And I think I do love how Weld convinced Crawler to stay. Because they use
Yeah.
one of Bakuta's bombs. Which of
Mhm.
course are incredibly unique, incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
And I love that Weld is like, wait, dude, listen. You're not gonna believe this.
Hold up a minute.
The coolest bomb is about to get dropped here. And listen, I think it could kill you. Like honestly. I just imagine
this could be
That's
it.
all you had to say.
how did Weld talk to Crawler? Like they're in the middle of a fight. Is he just like, wait, hang on.
Yeah.
I mean,
Listen.
why not?
Why? I guess
yeah.
it's very
It kind
funny.
of worked
though, to
earlier
imagine.
with Tattletale and Siberian.
That's true.
Hold on. I got something to say real quick, and then you can do whatever you got to do. But like, listen up, just for 1 minute.
Yeah.
We think we know how to kill you.
I just need you to stand on this red X over here.
I have such an image in my head of Crawler just staring up at the sky with a huge grin on his face, like arms open wide, staring straight up, like
Multiple sets of arms. open.
yes, like
Yeah.
bring it on, and like the mushroom cloud afterwards, like just the absolute annihilation of this.
Just in
monster.
slow motion with the and
Yeah.
I like the idea. In my head, it's a slow build too. Like through the entire fight, Weld is like toying with Crawler, knowing what's gonna come, slowly feeding him this, like, oh, we've got something for you, buddy, and playing
Mhm.
it off like they're finally gonna kill him. And Crawler taking that as a challenge. Like I feel like Weld, in my mind, Weld is definitely smart enough to pull that off
Heck
while
yeah.
fighting him.
Oh, I don't know,
Detective boy.
Brer Wolf. I hope you don't throw me into that briar patch over there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just sort of egging him on. Being like, oh man, I guess we're going to have to use the big bomb. I don't think you can survive that one. You know, it's like
Crawler's like, ooh,
telling
really?
the little kid, right? It's like,
Wait.
oh yeah,
if
you can't.
I were as spiteful as Pigott, I would he's standing there. He's like you said, arms open. He's waiting for the bomb to drop. And then the explosion goes off like a mile to his right. And he's just pissed because he realizes they just bombed the Slaughterhouse 9 and he wasn't there for it.
Yeah.
Like, motherfuckers, they didn't drop the bomb on me. They said they were going to.
They said they would.
It's the whole, hey, Timmy, I need you to take out the trash. No, but you can't take out the trash in 5 minutes. Watch me. Like,
Watch me. I'll time
the
you.
whole thing. Yeah, I'll time you. Yeah, exactly. Crawler, bet you can't survive this bomb, Crawler. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Watch me.
I also like to think that Crawler and Mannequin didn't like each other and that Crawler kept Mannequin there on purpose. Just pin them down.
Let's see who outsurvives this, you
Interpersonal.
bitch.
In a personal group dynamic.
That's my headcanon.
I going to believe that.
I believe it.
Okay, though.
Also,
real quick though,
yeah.
we're all talking about like Mannequin in particular, like he's dead, and I'm pretty sure he is, but he's mentioned at the end, and I know that we haven't gotten there yet. So, is he dead? I actually don't know.
I wondered about that. I wondered about that because they bring it up with Cherish.
Yeah,
I think the implication is that he is, but you're right. I think it is left ambiguous. And
damn it.
Yeah. I was going to say we don't want to spoil it, but I realized I don't want to spoil it for myself because I can't remember now.
We'll find out one way or the other.
As far as as far as we know, they are freaking
Gonzo.
glassed.
Yeah.
Dunzaroni.
I mean, I have to imagine whatever was capable of killing Crawler could probably deal with Mannequin.
Oh, yeah. Because as we've established, if you grab a cinder block and you just kind of drop it a few times, it'll break anything on him. He's basically the paper mache of Tinkers.
It says that he's dead.
Okay, it does say that. Okay,
so we'll assume that's.
I'm gonna operate off of that.
Yeah.
For now.
Yeah.
For the time being.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna go into chapter 7 then.
Please do.
Actually, I just said chapter 7, so now I'm gonna do chapter 8. Bonesaw activates her citywide plague that she had been tempting with before. And even though the Undersiders do try to escape, they all kind of gets a little separated and they get impacted by it. And Skitter realizes she's kind of losing her recollection of what people look like. And Bonesaw and Jack, pretending to be Tattletale and Gru, trick her through this like creepy brain mist. And I'm actually going to group this with chapter 9. And they convince her to call Coil, figure out where Cherish is. And Cherish tells them over the phone, she tells Jack the prophecy that Dinah had about him ending the world. And also tells them where they can find Amy. And in kind of that moment, Skitter realizes who they are and realizes that she's been tricked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This was a moment I forgot about, so rereading it was incredibly fun. Because at the end of 14.8 is when Taylor says something, I don't know what, but then quote unquote Tattletale says, "Hey, don't curse." And I'm like,
yes.
Wait a second.
I forgot
shivers. I
forgot what the miasma did until they said she said darn it. Like they were looking at something. She's like, darn it. And I was like, no. Lisa doesn't censor like that.
Yeah. This is one of those scenes where just the slight crossover with Dissecting Worm here, but like in a television series, you're still using the actors for Tattletale and Gru there, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
that would
yeah.
be so cool.
And then just having them drop that line would be so great.
It would be so creepy. Because you could even have them in different outfits too that are like maybe leaning a little bit more towards the Bonesaw dress. Even
Right.
and like, but it's still the Tattletale actress. And like,
Mhm.
oh, that would be so horrifying. Because you're realizing that, like, oh my God, like what's the mist? What's the mist? Like, okay, cool. The Undersiders were all back together. And then she says it, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to think that if we did that, you would actually just pick a generic person.
A
that
generic
kinda
blonde
looks.
person.
Yeah, no, you would pick a generic blonde person that kind of fits the in between of Bonesaw and Lisa, and the same for like the Gru, Jack Slash. You would just a generic, very generic outfit, like superhero outfit too. That way, you get the idea of like, yeah, they kind of look like familiar, but I don't recognize
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
And
actually
them being like, it's me, Gru, and then you as the viewer being like, oh yeah, I guess that's what's messing with my memory.
Yeah. I actually just saw a thing on Reddit that was in some conversations about, well, how do you do that? How do you deal with that? Like, well, you just have outlines. You just do silhouettes of people because
Yep.
she's not recognizing like the facial features that we all recognize as being, oh yeah, that's the Undersiders. Like this actor is the Undersider, whatever. Like those features are now blank. And especially if we did this in like an animated form, having like featureless forms of like,
Yeah.
well, okay, so that person has blonde hair, but like the features are all wonkadelic,
Mm.
all very generic until the little things start to seep through and we realize who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Man.
A lot of options.
Also, backup
Definitely.
would end of 4.7. Legends like, oh no, like we've been winning too much. Oh man, so much winning. I guess Jack's gonna get upset because we broke his rules.
Yep.
Like, yeah, Legend, you broke them. You broke
You did.
a lot of them.
Literally
Smashed right
all of
through
them.
Literally all of them.
Smashed right through
You,
all the
Legend,
rules.
are breaking the rule right now just by being here.
You,
Yeah,
Legend,
yeah.
have fucked us.
Yeah, you have fucked up now. Now you fucked up.
I mean, we really needed him, but like also
Did we though?
I don't know. I feel like he did a pretty good job. I mean, he busted open the vault.
Yeah.
I him being there and like all the things, I don't know if the Slaughterhouse 9 would have stuck to their agreement, but
It is
he
debatable.
really did cause, he definitely broke all the rules. And I'm just upset about that.
I'm just making memes and putting them
I was
in,
about to say, I just saw a little blip as there's more
Good. I have
memes
some
in the
written
Discord.
down if you need.
I love it. Thank you.
So we got.
This is great. This is just more content. And if you want to see these memes, lovely listeners, head on over to our social media channels this week,
Hey.
as we'll be posting.
There we go. Be excited.
Know that they are all made by Jacob. And they're all excellent. I especially like this.
I am alone in life. I have nothing except my memes. That's all I have.
Wait, what?
Jacob, that's not true. Jacob,
Please laugh at my memes.
is that your new? If anybody knows any worm fans that are willing to date Jacob,
Honestly,
you can call us.
You don't even have
call us and tell him. Write in, leave a voicemail.
Yeah, leave a voicemail
with your cape name, your favorite piece of Lord of the Rings trivia.
There it is.
The more obscure, the better.
That's all you need. That's it. That's actually it.
980-999-0438. If you would like to date Jacob, let us know.
Oh my gosh, I can't. Oh man.
Speaking of dating, how about that kiss coming up?
Yes.
No,
Well,
we
okay,
got
wait.
that
We're jumping a little bit ahead, but
No, we are
but
a
yeah,
little ahead. Whoops.
it is coming
Just
up.
a smidge.
That's okay. yeah, do we have any other comments on these chapters, or shall I just move on to the library or the school? The school.
Yeah, we're going with the
school.
Any thoughts on Coil, the call with Coil? I do like that Coil does have the whole, like, he tries to do the little
code.
What's it called? The code. Yeah, the code that they have. And she's like, I don't actually remember anybody's names.
Yeah. There's like, can you do the code? Yeah, I can do the code. Says the code. All right.
I can't do the code.
I don't know it.
Basically. It does upset me, though, that, like, Coil didn't have that moment to be like, well, okay, if Tattletale and Gru are with you, then, like, Tattletale should know, right? And they both just stayed silent the whole time, because obviously their voices would have given them away. But, like, why didn't someone just go, hey, how's it going, Tattletale? And, like, listen to the silent and be like, Tattletale?
It does make me wonder what Coil was doing during all of this. Like, what was he spending his power on? Where was his alternate self? You know, I'm so curious.
And if he resets it like every 24 hours or so, or every 6 hours or 12 or whatever he does, like, he probably wouldn't know until later, but still, like, come on. Like, it seems like one of those important moments where we kind of needed you to work here, bud.
There's an old, nothing related to any of these chapters, but an old comment on the Parahuman subreddit talking about Coil. And the guy was like, if I had that power, literally every day, I would just get in the car with one of my selves and drive across the country and just see if my current day is better or not. And if it's not, then I just become that person. Like, that's all he did. Is just like every day, just drive out of town, sit over there for a day and see what happens.
I like it. It's good.
Like, that's what I imagine Coil does. Just gets in the car, goes camping for a day.
Half the time he's just camping.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it would make sense. You know, he's just so relaxed. He's like, that's why he's so calm all the time, is because he has time off all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go out into the woods.
I
thought of that, but that's awesome.
He only ever buys one plane ticket. He's always got enough money for one first-class plane ticket somewhere. And so it's just, you know, you kill him and then he just flips over and he's like, nope, I'm just on a plane.
Just on a plane.
Exactly. I wonder, like, but do you think that he knew, like, or, you know, one of his versions knew that they found Cherish, like that kind of thing, you know? I'm wondering. I'm curious.
I feel like Cherish would have made a really good second pet in a way to him, to, like, would have worked for what he wanted to do, you know, like having powers that he could use to his advantage. I feel like Cherish is one of those powers that would actually, like, work to his advantage. And so it seems like if he did have it in his capabilities to keep her, he would have in a way. So I don't know.
She just seems too messy.
I was going to say, it's hard.
Yeah, I think that would be his concern, is that he would say, look, you're just not worth the effort I would put into taking care of you.
Yeah, very true. Yep. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and move on then.
Move on.
Chapter 10, where everything starts going down. Jack and Bonesaw take off to find Panacea, and Skitter follows to the school, where Jack tries to recruit Panacea. Skitter uses her moment to attack, and Cocoon Glory Girl, which is just horrific, chases down Bonesaw. Jack runs, and Panacea is able to create a cure, within like Tattletale. No, within Skitter's blood, spit, body fluid.
Pretty much, I think every bodily fluid, basically.
Just all the fluids, just everything.
Right. Yeah.
Every fluid.
Let's unpack this one, because holy macaroni.
Okay, so I forgot that Taylor actually has the guts to go ahead and pull the trigger here.
I did too.
And
forgot about that.
Shoots Jack.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
She was ready.
And she was ready. Subdermal mesh my ass. All I'm saying is, Coil Sniper would have blown a hole through this guy.
Subdermal mesh my ass. If you say that all
Subdermal mesh
combined,
my
it
ass.
sounds, yeah. Sus.
That's what he said when he went under. It was like, bone saw, subdermal mesh my ass.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Somehow it's sounding more and more made up.
Michael is
Yeah,
so
I'm-
over your bullshit.
I'm
Ellen.
assuming that Taylor popped him with like a 9mm. All I'm saying is move up a
No,
caliber.
it's a good
you
point.
know?
It's just a very
Yeah.
strange phrase,
Yeah.
but I had to point it out.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Keep
Yeah,
going.
no. I appreciate that you did, and we'll
Did
make
they
t-shirts
say
for
where
it.
she shot him?
Yeah.
I think it's
she
just
hit-
like the back shoulder.
Well, Jack says you were close to my spine or something like that. 'Cause
Yeah.
that's where the
Yeah.
mesh was. So I mean, she hit him pretty center mass. Like it was probably a pretty good shot. But no, I totally forgot about that too. Like, is this the first time that Taylor consciously makes an effort, does
To
an
kill
action
someone?
to kill somebody? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she tried to shoot
Yeah.
Mannequin earlier when she was fighting with Weld. And
The-
hit,
she-
and
arguably-
hit him too, actually.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
She was
she
gonna
ain't half
bash
bad.
his head in.
That's
Yeah.
fair.
Yeah,
Good
she's
point.
she's getting up to it.
I don't blame her for that one because he is, a person, allegedly, very, very inhuman.
Yeah.
Jack is
Jack
a
looks
person.
like a person. Yeah, Jack is a
And-
person.
A mannequin's kind of like killing a robot where you're like, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Neither.
I
did
mean,
we.
it's just an Allen, right? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
Allens
What's
aren't even human, you know?
there's one less Alan in the
Apparently.
world.
Our one Alan listener just crying in the corner.
No.
But I
Allens
am
are
a real
superhuman. Don't you ever,
Okay.
Alan, I know you're listening. Don't you ever get discouraged.
Apparently,
We
Alan.
will
Alan
make
solidarity.
up for Alan's solidarity right now. We will make up for freaking their loss that they keep giving us. The only L's we'll be taking are the ones in our names.
Hey, wow. That was
was-
good.
nice.
Was it?
Nice.
Yeah, I liked it.
I like Alan.
Oh, my God.
Ellen.
That was a stretch. That was bad. I'm sorry. Let's move
All
on.
right, keep going. Please, someone
That's good.
stop this.
Oh,
Just
my
to
God.
show we
Back
can
to,
all,
We gotta
much
keep
like
moving.
Amy, we can always go lower.
Oh.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which,
speaking of Amy, my God,
Yeah.
Chrysalisk of Doom.
wow. Like,
Way to make things complicated,
Woof.
Amy.
Also, is Glory Girl awake in that thing?
I don't.
It
Yes.
Is
It
she?
read like she's conscious
So
because she kind of flies out of it or flies with it.
Yes.
out.
Well, she. Yeah. She
So
goes
my
after,
understanding is that that Panacea's kind of put her in a daze of just
Mhm.
like
yeah,
mind
she's like
control, basically.
hypnotized.
She's like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fix my sister's brain, but I will hypnotize her.
Ugh. God, it's
So
Good job,
just
Amy.
so shitty. Like
You're
what
doing
we talked
great.
about earlier, like the things that you think are okay, and like, oh, it's fine because I'm doing it because I'm a hero and she's my sister and I love her and I'm protecting her and I'm healing her, so therefore it's okay. It's like, fuck off, Amy.
yeah. So our lovely fan, Sleepy Stapler, linked me to another Reddit thread. In this one, it basically lays out what the hell Amy was doing and how what she was doing was conscious actions and choices. So it goes like this. Amy mind rapes Victoria on June 8th. An accident, whatever. 4 days later, however, Victoria's injured. And Tattletale tricks her into getting Amy to heal her, yada, yada, against Victoria's consent. Amy then immediately paralyzes her,
Wait.
but doesn't render her unconscious.
Oh my God. Keep going.
Follow up that. Tattletale tells Amy to remove the mind rape. Amy, of course, does not do that because that would be the simple thing to do. They keep telling her to remove the mind rape, and Amy continues to not do it. She then mentions that she's keeping Victoria complacent,
Ugh.
and Taylor makes the heartbreaker comparison.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Also, all of this is courtesy,
Ugh.
this timeline's courtesy of Rid Tom on Reddit. Keep going. Amy then kidnaps Victoria and mind controls her to fly them away.
Oh my God. Gets worse.
Jack
It's
finds
getting
her
worse.
and tells her that maybe she should just, don't mind rape her. just regular rape her.
Yeah.
Amy then refuses to, kinda?
Ugh.
I think it
And
probably
then-
is worth noting here, just as a little caveat too. This is a section of the story that Wildbow has also talked about not being terribly proud of, and I just kind of want to highlight it because there's some contention with a lot of the community as well. A lot of really unnecessary queer hate, for lack of a better word. And I just want to touch on it just enough. We're not going to dwell on it, but just to say we're aware of it. It is probably something that really should be pushed past. And if this was an actual published work, would needs a little bit of rewriting. And Wildbow's acknowledged that as well, that he's not terribly proud of the way that he structured Amy's goals in terms of what she is working towards. It's not a great concept. And so just to kind of put that out there, we do want to kind of move. I don't want to dwell on it, but just we're aware of that. Just for anyone listening, it is a contentious issue, and I don't think her character needs that. I think she is perfectly fine of being a very, very flawed character and sister to Victoria without that gross element sort of tied into it. So just we're using that terminology, so just kind of move past that.
I didn't realize that was such a big point of contention.
It pops up a good bit, and enough to where Wildbow's commented on it a couple times in some interviews. And
interesting. I need to go read those because as it stands, I feel like this is actually, good writing.
It's good writing. It's well written. It's just in terms of it falls into a lot of tropes that are just
absolutely. And the idea of using sexual assault as a trope. Yes.
Specifically like lesbian sexual assault is just not a popular choice.
Okay. Amy puts Victoria into a cocoon to heal her. But Taylor notes that there are no injuries on Victoria at this point. And Amy still continues to mind control Victoria to do things. Amy tells Jack that she will give in to her indulgences if he promises to leave the city, which is what he's trying to push to. She claims it was a lie to save Skitter from being killed by Jack. But all in all, Skitter essentially has to bully Amy into preventing Brockton Bay from being genocided, and then she still won't remove the mind control on Victoria, and Amy is just like, nope, you know what, go away. There's more to it that's expanded into other arcs and chapters, but long and short of it is she has to be bullied into doing any good thing. Every good decision is made because other people just are so inconveniencing her, whether like just being there screaming at her. Like that's the only reason she does good stuff.
Yeah.
It does kind of feel that way, unfortunately. But at least she does make the cure. She puts,
she does the one good thing.
She does do a couple of good things, It's
she does a hero.
I don't know. I'm kind of two minds when it comes to Amy because on one hand, like we've been talking about, she's a teenager. I wouldn't say that I was the most rational teenager. But also, come on, Amy. Like at least just help people.
All I'm saying is a 5-year-old would be able to make this moral decision. Like, hey kid, everybody's gonna die if you don't do that. Oh, well, I guess I better do that then.
Right. Right. Exactly.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, exactly. You should. But yeah, I don't know. Tough. Definitely a tough position to be in. I don't envy Amy for the role that she's in.
Yeah. For sure.
Also, Amy's rules are bullshit. Like we already knew that, but they are like the weakest ass bullshit I've ever seen. these are up there with like Batman's I don't kill and then proceeds to like kick people off buildings bullshit.
Yeah.
I
exactly.
didn't shoot him with a gun at least. Like, they're not dead, they're sleeping.
Yeah.
Sure, Amy. Whatever helps you not sleep at night, I guess.
Whatever helps.
Yep.
Well, moving on from
Moving on
10.
to chapter 11.
Finally, some highlights.
Skitter reunites with Tattletale and Bitch, and they kiss. There's a kiss. There's two lovely kisses. That
I would love to go all the way back.
I'm not done. Hold on. So
Okay.
we have a bitch kiss, then we have a Tattletale kiss in order to pass on this cure, and then they hunt down the location of where Cherish has been held. Skitter finds that the 9 have recruited Hookwolf, have dumped Cherish in the bay, and have left the city. Now go ahead, Alan.
I would like to take us back to Arc 5, where a couple of characters you might know, Rachel and a Taylor, are walking back from the warehouse fight, and there's a fake out kiss moment and a jacket thrown around the shoulders, and they said I was crazy. They said they couldn't be bi. That they, the bidar's picking up nothing. But let me tell you, the Taylor really didn't hesitate when it came to planting that one on Bitch. She walks over and is very comfortably laying a smooch on Lisa. Did she have to use the lip on lip contact? No, she could have done it anywhere. But she was like, man, I really got to get in there.
This
Not
is
by my ass.
This is one of those moments, though, that a bad TV show version of this would make it like, or even just like as a comedic moment. I could imagine if it was animated instead of done with real people. The moment where she like stops Bitch halfway there and then just like walks up to her and just kisses her. I just feel this moment of like everything like slows down. The world gets a little bit more pinkish hued.
Yeah.
And it's just this moment of like she like wraps her arm around the back of Rachel's head.
Go on.
And then just Rachel just punches the crap out of her.
Yes.
It's just like the payoff of that. But it's such a funny image. In
Nick,
my mind.
have you considered writing television? That sounds great.
I haven't.
And then
I'll
just like
think
the
about it.
casual walk over and just a quick smooch for
Heck
Lisa.
on Lisa. Yeah.
Like no big deal about it.
I just don't. I understand why Alan is so head over heels for this. I get it.
Why?
I understand, and I get
this is just kissing the homies goodnight.
I get all the bi moments because of this. I don't like it.
You don't have to like it, Hannah. Some people are sexually attracted to multiple genders. Okay, you don't have to. I know. Look here, you Sophia Stan. I know you don't like it when Taylor gets to kiss people. You've established that from the last time.
No,
you hate it when Taylor kisses people. You hate it to see when she's happy.
Do you need me to mute Alan really quick?
Oh, that'd be great, actually, if you could. No. I don't. As much as I understand that people get very excited about this, I don't feel like there's any sexual energy about it whatsoever. And
no,
it kind of bothers me a little bit, but I'm not gonna let it bother me. But the kind of idea that like, okay, well, we're in this moment, like, sure, Taylor could have like spit on Bitch, but like that probably wouldn't have gone over any better. And like, if anything, a kiss would have like thrown her off to the point where she would have been like maybe more confused and would have given Taylor more time to like pull away. Of course, she gets punched in the face either way, but like, I mean, it's. I feel like it's the right call. Like, I feel like it would have been weirder for her to be like, "Yeah, open your mouth. I'm gonna spit in your mouth," like she suggests Bitch to do with their dogs. But like, it's just like I don't know. I don't.
No,
it
definitely plays like a little it's a little bit of fan service. It feels like
a little. I guess I just
there's nothing wrong with that. It's just
it doesn't feel like it.
Know.
It
I don't
felt like
even know
when
if
in
it's
doubt,
service.
discombobulate.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
I don't know how to
know.
convince you, bitch. Like, I've tried all my arguments, and so my only thing left is to bamboozle.
Yeah,
you know?
bamboozle. That's what it feels like. It feels like a bamboozle. It doesn't feel like and I'm gonna kiss you now. Like, no,
Yeah,
I don't. I don't feel that
Also,
vibe at all.
I was in all seriousness. I don't really, even though there's the moments where Taylor's like looking at Gru or Brian, and she's like, "Oh wow, he's kind of hot." Like, I really don't get a sexual vibe from Taylor at all. She
Oh, funny. I
like
do get a sexual vibe from Taylor.
asexual vibe. Yes,
Oh.
yes. No, she gives off
Sorry.
such strong ace vibes. And even though there are moments of her being like, "Ooh, hot Brian,"
But it's
is
way
hot.
more like I'm awkward around Brian than it is like I want to kiss his face off. You know?
Yeah, it definitely. At least she
Because
feels
we're
like she's
teenagers.
written as an asexual character, or that she's written as a teenage girl, but her energy that comes off is asexual for some reason.
She's just way more interested in like, I don't know, being a villain, like doing her area and like building up her organizing. That's what gets her off. Spreadsheets. But I don't know. I just
Spreadsheets get me off.
Oh, we know. But like that vibe just feels way more Taylor than anything else. And I think this is something somebody else in one of the comments from one of our earlier arcs mentioned this, like, oh, it's funny you guys didn't talk about the weird sexual energy in this scene. I don't even remember what arc it was, but like, if we don't
Arc 5.
like, yeah, probably. I just
have it
don't think
memorized.
about it, like, because I don't sense it from Taylor. I don't sense that sexual energy, even with the conversations with Brian that do feel like they're supposed to come across as romantic. Like they just, I don't know, they just don't to me.
I feel like this is evident that none of us, from what I know, read a lot of Worm fanfic. And I would
I've
imagine,
not read a single Worm.
I haven't read a page of fanfic.
Nope. Sorry,
it's
guys.
not my cup of tea. But I would imagine that might play into it. I'm going to take a wild
Quick show of
guess.
hands.
Yeah.
who in this podcast? Just show of hands. Put them up. Who has read any piece of Worm fanfic? No one.
Yeah.
And maybe that's us losing out on the community.
Maybe,
you know,
maybe we're behind the times. But I would imagine, I feel like that's because I've been the same way. I didn't, even the first time I read it, I read the very basic attraction she has to Brian that doesn't go too far. And that's really it. I mean, there's some funny lines here and there, but I don't read that much into it either. And I wonder if that plays into it. It's just, I would imagine that the fan fiction for Worm goes a little bit harder in some of those areas.
I'm sure it must.
So I wonder if a lot of people will take that, because I know the Worm fan fiction is pretty popular. There's a lot of popular fanfic out there. I would imagine if reading that affects a lot of people's read of the actual story as well.
I've seen enough posts to know that it 100% does.
Yeah. But either way, it's a fun scene for sure. I like Tattletale's little joke too when Taylor goes to kiss her and she's just like, "No tongue though, please."
That was great. That was great. I love that.
It's a great little joke. I love Tattletale.
Yeah. God, yeah, no, Lisa's the best.
Also, I do like that after she kissed them, or after she kissed Bitch, she gets punched, it falls into the water, and Tattletale marks that just by falling into the water, you've already like cleaned up the water and the air around it.
It's such a
You've already cleaned up a puddle.
Such a quick like, look, we've cured the city just by falling over.
Yeah, that is the one moment in this arc where it did kind of feel. Obviously, Panacea is super powerful, and that's established. But that is kind of the feels like the Deus Ex Machina of like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
Just
so
a
you
bit.
just
She could have just like hocked a loogie into the puddle. Like that would have made sense since we're talking about body fluids. But like, I don't know. Like at that point, she could have just like hugged Lisa or Rachel rather than kiss them. If it's really just like skin to skin contact, or I guess she said sweat and urine as well. But like,
really could have just given
them
a kiss on the forehead, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
Just a little smooch, you know.
Just
I
a
also
little
like-
baby
doesn't,
smooch. Just a little smooch.
Sometimes you just gotta kiss the homies goodnight.
I
You
do
do,
like
it's
though
true.
that they maintained the fact that bitches' dogs are immune to toxins and
Yeah,
things
that's
like that.
cool.
while they're under the effect of her power. Because I think she mentions that they're fine, that they don't need any help.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, that's right. They're,
Also, speaking of things
they're
that
good.
are ineffective, we had all the gas masks on the superheroes, but then they talk about how it's
Completely useless.
made of prions and it's way smaller, so
Oh,
it'll
yeah.
pass through all the filters. Like fucking useless.
Damn it.
well, that's how, I mean, because I remember thinking when I was reading it, I was like, Legend, just fly up in the air. How did you get hit by this thing? Like the slow rising gas, and Legend's just like, oh no, what am I gonna do? I'm only the fastest cape on the planet,
Yeah.
But it makes more sense if he thought the suit would help him and it didn't. Then there's a bit more.
Yeah.
Makes a bit more sense there.
Well, because they all know about the plague, so you imagine they've probably got as much protection as they know to put on.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then he's like, this mist, frustrating. I can't see anything.
Who's my mom?
Well, and I
Don't
guess
recall.
so Panacea modified the pathogens or whatever they're called. Not pathogens. What's the word?
Prions.
The prions, the microbes that
Mhm.
that Bonesaw made. So
Yeah.
obviously they do work fast because it was an instant. Everything went dark. Suddenly everybody's confused. So I guess it makes sense later that when Panacea fixes them, makes them good, that they would work fast.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that is.
That's true. It does. But also, this another when they say the Slaughterhouse 9 is an S-class threat, it's Bonesaw. Like Siberian 2, but
yeah.
it's Bonesaw.
Well, and Shatterbird.
Oh, true. Shatterbird also
And
would fit that
Was.
category.
Prowler.
I mean, I
Was.
think
It's it's all.
Was.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just
Was.
Jack. Jack's
Yeah.
the one that keeps them all together. But
yeah.
No, I mean, you start to see it here where it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, she's terrifying.
oh
That's
god,
horrifying. And that was probably a pretty mild, pandemic
yeah.
compared to what
I mean,
she's capable of doing.
We've seen in their interlude what she can do and what she did with the merchants and that gross
Right.
like exploding to exploding to exploding. And she's like, no worries, I only gave it like 3 generations. Like,
Yeah.
oh god,
Oh,
oh no,
oh no.
oh no, no.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think that they are all in their own right. In the right
Yes.
situation, they can be
For sure.
S-class threats.
Mhm.
However, there are some of them that are clearly a lot more dangerous than others.
Mhm.
And yeah, like you said, those are the
Well,
ones.
I mean,
that are
even
more
even
dangerous.
Crawler's terrifying, but like Weld, a single ward was holding his own against him. So like,
But it's also Weld, the best boy.
Yeah, it's also
it's
Weld.
true.
Yeah,
he
is
was
the best
also
boy.
Weld, who's the best. Yeah, absolutely. but like, yeah, Shatterbird, Siberian, and Bonesaw clearly like seem to be in a league of destruction above the rest. We're just
Yeah, that's
terrifying.
definitely true.
Yeah. Anyway, they finally get around that, and things start to calm down.
Yep.
And we're into the end of the chapter minus the interludes.
Yeah.
We get
Yeah.
the resolution of everything there.
Oh, Hook Wolf is with the Slaughterhouse 9
Yep.
now.
Hook
yeah,
Wolf
right,
Slaughterhouse.
right.
And we
wow,
can't
Hook Wolf, way to be a consolation prize.
Yeah.
and we can't forget Cherish.
Yeah.
Which Nick and I were talking about earlier with kind of this idea of like, well, is Mannequin still around? Because they say specifically that Cherish has been dumped in the bay where she will live for a very, very long time.
Mhm.
Thanks to mannequins.
Mhm.
And that, I mean, that very well might be Bonesaw using what she knows from Mannequin and what Mannequin's research did and how he built himself. But like, she's basically in a box underwater in the bay, tapped into every negative emotion in the city, and she is just gonna have to deal with it all until
Gosh.
whoever whatever happens.
I hope
Yeah.
I hope there's a hero that just swims down there and kills her.
Puts her out of her misery. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's easy to hate bad people, but like stuff like that, it's just
Yeah.
that's
one of those
tough.
I have no mouth and I must scream type vibes.
Yeah. Well, and this is another, I feel like this happens a lot in this story where you almost feel bad as a reader when you get to the result you wanted, right?
Yeah.
Because like the whole time I hate Cherish. I think she's
Yes.
awful. She's clearly killed and just hurt thousands of people.
Yes.
Just a clearly evil person. And then still, when she's at her end, I'm still sympathetic, which is just brutal. It's like, oh, well, yay. It's hard to feel like this was a victory. It's just such an awful ending, as fitting as it may be.
It's the definition of a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
Where it's just we did it, but at what
I'm
cost?
not happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
We won, but at what cost?
Well, that leads us into the interludes for this arc. First, we have our interlude with Sierra. Sierra is helping move corpses after the attack in Skitter's territory. She and Charlotte are taking care of the kids, and a couple of the ABB gang members that have joined in Skitter's territory kind of turn on them and are threatening the kids, threatening Sierra and Charlotte, and are saved by Skitter at the last moment as Skitter comes crawling home.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but Skitter is gone for like a
2
day?
days. 2 days.
Yeah.
Because
2 days?
because they're basically like, well, it's been 2 days. Who knows if she's coming back?
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
I forget how
Fuck
little
off.
time has passed in the past like 3-4 arcs.
It does rush by.
It feels
really
like
quick.
weeks have gone by, and it's only been like when you read that thing about the timeline for Amy, about the fact that everything happens, she messes with Victoria, and then 4 days later, it's like, wait, what? 4 days? Like the timeline is so fucked in my head that I've lost complete understanding of time.
Yeah. I mean, think about this. I think at this point in time, from the beginning of the story, it's only been like 2 months or something like that.
No, it couldn't possibly be. Is it really?
Well,
It
she
couldn't
fought
really
possibly be
quick.
2
She
months.
fought Lung in April. So if this
It's
is
June.
we're 2 months.
Holy
Since the beginning of the
fuck.
story. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
this
God.
first bit happens pretty quick. It's basically Rent. If you ever watched the musical Rent, where the first act takes place in like 12 hours and the second act takes place in a year. Like that's what's happening here. The first half of the story takes place in like an afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah. I was feeling kind of bad for Bryce in this one over the phone. But then Jaw was like, nah, we all want him to learn some humility.
I love that.
Like, we all want him punished. I'm like, never mind. He irritates everyone.
Yeah.
Classic teenagers. I love it.
This was this fun little interlude though. I like the little bit of like calm we get after that just action packed few chapters.
Yeah.
Nice to sort of get back to the people.
And what I like about I can't remember who said, I think Nick might have said it early on at the beginning of this episode, is that this arc, we have Taylor interacting with so many separate people that like it feels like we really are very immersed in the world. So like her interacting with Legend and kind of like this moment where they're kind of helping each other in the sky, and her fight against Mannequin and Crawler, she's kind of helping Weld, and all of the conversations she has with Panacea, and then kind of this interlude with Sierra, and seeing what the back end of all of this hectic craziness is looking like. It's such a great grounding interlude, and I mean, I feel like all of them are, but like it's such a grounding interlude to remember that like there are other people in this world, and they're all living lives and like trying to survive and trying to deal. And like I mean, it would never occur to me that all of a sudden now you have families without children and children without parents, and like, well, what happens to them all? And like,
Right.
well, Charlotte is stepping up and Sierra's stepping up, and Skitter's territory is like, of course, even in as well as everything's going in Skitter's territory, you're still going to have, infighting and stuff like that. And it is a very grounding interlude. That's what I like about it. Also, I love Sierra. I think she's great.
Yeah, definitely a good character. A good side character. It's one of those
Yes.
characters you can really enjoy and appreciate.
Any final thoughts on Sierra and that little interlude?
Oh, we got another power upgrade on top of, getting the cool
The relay bugs.
atlas to ride around on.
Yeah.
We've also got the bug cape.
Yeah, that's pretty
Comes
cool.
in
That's right.
and like is wearing a shroud of
I love
bugs.
that.
That's
That's
true.
very
I
fun.
forgot about that. Yeah.
On top
Great.
of that, she doesn't even think about the fact that she continues to do
Speaks
the
with
bug
her
voice.
Bug voice. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's kind of just settled
Creepy.
in.
Very
And all I
creepy.
can think of is I need more Sierra and Taylor heart to hearts. I love the mundane parts of this. I
Me
gush about it
too.
all the time.
Me too.
And poor Taylor, after all the bullshit she has done with all day, the fact that she just had to talk to Amy, was enough. But also the Slaughterhouse 9 was there, and she has to come home to this shit.
Yeah. Golly.
I feel like such a broken record because I keep making Dark Knight references on this podcast. But like it feels very much
I'm
like
always
the
here
scene
for
in
it,
The Dark
Jacob. It's
Knight.
all right.
Same,
Thanks, Michael.
same.
I appreciate it. The scene in The Dark Knight where the one dude goes to Fox and is like, I know who Batman is. I want $1 billion for the rest of my life.
Yes.
It's like, this feels like this, where Sierra's talking to the ABB members like, so you think, your boss, one of the most powerful villains in Brockton Bay, who just spent the last
Exactly.
24 hours beating the Slaughterhouse 9 to a pulp, is just out having fun. And your plan is to take over her territory? Like, did you think
Not
about
even her
this?
whole territory, just her kitchen.
Yeah, just
Good luck
the
with that.
kitchen. Good luck,
love it.
Oh man,
good
I
luck
also
with
do
that.
like too that. Yeah, all it takes is like a day, and they're like, "Well, she's dead. Time to go rogue."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like instead of
It's like
let's help because maybe something did happen. Let's help, but their first instinct is just, nope. Okay, she's dead, huh? All right.
Hand me
Yep.
some of that canned corn.
I'm not saying they're fickle, but like how long after, Lung got killed did they turn to the next hero? Just like, oh man, Lung's out of the picture. Like as he's being driven away, like gotta find a new bad boss. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. Stupid men.
there weren't just stupid men
It
there.
was and the women.
There were
too,
stupid
the
women
girls.
Stupid
and
women.
children.
And the stupid children, too.
Got stupid children.
I
All
think
right,
that
well-
brings us to the last interlude.
Yep.
And if
Going
you would
into
be
the
honest-
Most
last-
important.
Oh,
Yeah.
this is actually one of my
Yes?
favorite interludes.
It's so good.
Yes.
I was about to say,
So good.
going into the last interlude of the arc, the last interlude of season 2, we have Legend. Legend speculates on Hero Tinker specialization with Clock Blocker, and then heads to a talk with some of the others at Cauldron. And there's just so many people there. The whole triumvirate is there, and it's just, we find out just how deep the roots go, and then later uses Arms Master's lie detector to go through the recording that he made of that meeting and realizes the extent of Cauldron's connections and the extent of Cauldron's lies. The triumvirate connection to Cauldron revealed. Siberian is revealed to be Manton himself, and Legend finds out that Cauldron is lying to him, and not just Cauldron, but the other triumvirate members know and are lying to him, keeping him in the dark. And we find out that Battery has died.
Justice for Battery.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was rough to
Just
hear
all
about.
of this is, it's just a stream of thought for me. Just I have Legend, you dirty motherfucker. The
Why?
whole goddamn proctorate. Coils in touch
Protectorate?
with Cauldron. protectorate. I always say proctorate
I
for
know
some
you
reason.
do. And I will be here to help.
Because they're
Procter and Gamble,
proctoring.
baby.
Yeah, I was thinking they're proctoring the cities with constant tests. Yeah.
Oh, man,
Yeah,
it's
you got the whole damn protectorate in there. Coil's also in touch with Cauldron. Like, of course, why wouldn't he be? Siberian is Manton.
Oh my God.
And then Legend being like, oh no, they're lying to me. Yeah, Legend, Cauldron lies sometimes.
Ugh.
You know, like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then finally, we do power booster shots now.
That's pretty cool.
Anyway, I've said everything.
That's-
That's all I got.
Shocking. Liar finds
Yeah,
out
yeah.
his liar friends lied to him.
Yeah.
I will put that on my leopards ate my face subreddit.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I don't want to know. Actually, never mind. There's
Women
some
it's
part,
who-
parts of
yeah, it's a-
Reddit
it's a
I just don't
subreddit
need to know
where-
exist.
No, it's kind of a funny subreddit. It's just like headlines of stuff like that where like, oh, the Captain Obvious, like duh. You
It
trusted
came
a
from
leopard and the
it came
leopard
from a joke somebody made about like person shocked when they voted for leopards eating face party when the leopard eats their face.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. That kind of
Okay.
thing.
Anyway, that's all.
Yeah.
No, so much happens here. Like so
So
much world
much.
building.
Yeah.
My
Oh God.
goodness.
I don't remember. I every time I read arcs, I realize how much I remember, and it's nothing. I don't remember jack shit. I don't remember anything. And this was like me being like, "What? What? Are you what?" Like just when he goes out to the oil rig and the door opens up, I was like, "Are you kidding
Oh,
me?
it's so cool.
You too?" And then he walks down the corner and he turns the corner, and you too. And it's just everyone, Alexandria and Legend, and I just
They're all in on it.
they're all in on it.
I loved, Alan and I have talked about this. I loved the subtle drop that I completely forgot. It's not that big of a deal, but it just sort of adds to the world where Legend says to Dr. Mother, hey, you told us that Manton is the one feeding
Yes.
or distributing all the cauldron vials, which plays into
and
so
is
many other
responsible
scenes.
for the case 53s.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yes.
Which I was like, what? Wait, that's
What?
crazy.
What?
And of course, then he's got the lie detector, and it's kind of all a lie. But like, that's
Yeah.
some really fun world building there because that's kind of subtly been dropped in with the merchants. Like, how did they get the vials and all this kind of stuff? Like, there's been little drops here and there, and I was like, oh wow, that adds so much to that whole dynamic. That was just kind of fun. Like, a Legend was being lied to about that whole process was fascinating.
Ugh, yeah. Yeah. I think that just the Siberian is Manton. I
Mhm.
paused because I was listening to it. I paused the audio and just like sat at my desk for a second because I rewound it. I went back, listened to it again because just
Wow.
like what the heck? Like we've been talking about the Manton effect forever and talking
Mhm.
about how it's so ingrained into like how we think about capes and how we think about powers and how we think about, you know, the barriers and the parameters we have set for them. And then to find out that like the man, the myth, the legend is Siberian, like we've been like he was right there in a van. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
It boggled my noodle there for a second. I just golly. And I'm
Yeah.
because I don't remember so much of it still. I don't like I feel like knowing this now is gonna change so much about like I don't know. I don't even remember. I don't even remember. I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
It
Like,
is.
Wild
It
Bone
is
was like,
crazy.
and here's everything.
Gosh.
Well,
Yeah.
not everything. Here's
Also,
here's a
Legend
taste of everything.
recognized him as soon as they
He
talked
did,
about it.
yeah.
Oh, that's right. He
'Cause-
did. Yeah.
And he also has
yeah.
the option to shoot him.
Yep.
And yeah.
And they're
doesn't.
like, oh, who am I going to shoot? And he's like, oh, it was too late. I couldn't figure out who to shoot. So I just
Mhm.
kind of, ooh,
Yeah.
like, you bitch. But also, you know, we've got the what we've kind of established as like the cauldron symbol
Mhm.
on one hand.
Yep.
But the swan.
We haven't revealed what the swan is yet.
I don't
Yep.
know. I don't remember. I'm very frustrated. I think I've reached the point of the story now where I don't remember anything else that happens moving forward. I remember one chapter it's so far ahead from now, and that's it. I don't remember anything else, and it's so upsetting. I'm like, the swan. What is the swan? I don't know what the swan means.
Right.
I don't need sleep. I need answers.
Pretty much.
I don't want to skip over though the fun bit of this where, so you said clock blocker in your summary. It was Kidwin though.
Mm-hmm. It was Kidwin. I'm so sorry. You're right.
Yeah, no, it's fine. But that was one of my favorite parts of this arc was Legend just talking to Kidwin about things.
About Hero.
And it's just, it's just such a, like, I don't know what it was, but there was just something about it. I was like, man, like this is, I think that's why I like this arc, because so rarely, and obviously Legend's not perfect. He lies. He's done bad things. But you have this moment of just like, maybe he's not a bad guy.
He knew that he has like dyscalculia and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And doesn't make a big deal about it. He's just like, oh yeah, like helps with your dyscalculia. And he's like, I didn't know you knew about that. He's like,
you know about that?
I mean, you're
like,
yeah, like I pay attention to you, man. You've done some really good stuff. People really talk about it.
I love that. And like the fact that he knows, like he recognizes that Kidwin built his costume and kind of like built a lot of his personality, his like Kate personality off of Hero, and kind of that little moment together where they're I just love that. And recognizing, because Kidwin, he's just a kid in the wards. And so he like the fact that he's even sitting with Legend is kind of like a very awe moment at the beginning of like, oh, like I don't even like the fact that you're sitting here with me, and then that he knows about him and recognizes that his cape, like persona, and that his costume is so inspired by Hero. It's just it's such a good moment, and it makes me like, damn, Legend's gonna be a great dad. Like, hells yeah, like.
It makes me think of like a Brene Brown talk where she's talking about mothers who have lost children and like not being able to talk about it. But if you like don't talk about your own kids, like it doesn't give them permission to talk about their dead kids. And because if you just like don't mention your kids at all, like it clearly like indicates that it's like a taboo topic. And everybody just kind of just sits there in this awkward like thing that they talk around. But in this case, Legend goes ahead and he, as he's talking, he's like, no, it's okay. Like you can talk about Hero. Because we know that was a super traumatic incident.
Yeah, from Keiko's interlude.
It gives the indication that they were close, like, and had this whole incident. He's like, yeah, no, like it's all right, dude. Like you can talk about it, and gives this freedom for Kidwin to gush about like how he built himself off Hero and how he really was inspired by him.
Also, something I forgot until just now when I was glancing through the summary that I had written for the last arc. Don't forget that Hero was killed by Siberian.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And like
right.
this arc where Legend makes that connection, like knowing that he was so close to Hero, and then his connection making that and realizing that Siberian is Manton, and recognizing him when he saw him, and that understanding that like, well, Manton was the one that killed Hero, and like it's so tangled up. It's
I hadn't thought about that until you mentioned it, but it also like one of those moments where he sees the tattoos. He doesn't fire the laser then because he's like that. It can't be.
Yeah.
And then has to go back. And, maybe that was I feel like it's probably the inciting incident for him to be like, okay, Cauldron, what the hell?
Yeah.
I need me a lie detector.
And he goes to Kidwin, and Kidwin makes it.
Yeah.
Kidwin spoofs it off.
He spoofs it off of Armsmaster.
Armsmaster, yeah. That's right. Because Armsmaster is the lie detector. That's right.
Yeah.
And he spoofs it off of that. I love, I don't know, just for some reason, the image that comes to mind is like Barack Obama comes to you and he's like, hey, kid, could you put this on a flash drive for me?
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah.
Sure.
I cannot imagine what Kidwin is going through in that moment. It's
No, he has a lot of personality. It's a fun scene to imagine.
Yeah.
Kidwin's definitely been a bigger character than I remember him being, and I really enjoy him a lot in this read through.
Mhm,
Yep. And
for
we stan our gay hero legend as well.
I didn't say it before, but Arthur and Keith, I knew those were gay coded names as soon as I read them.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
I
obvious.
feel like that's unnecessary.
No, but I mean, it's actually a good thing to bring up. It's a good thing to bring up because we did just mention earlier how Wildbow has talked about how probably didn't write Amy in the best light, but does write Legend in a really good light, and it's a really subtle but just really simple way of just incorporating that community, and just Legend has a family and he's got a husband that he loves, and it's just really simple, like plays really well, doesn't change anything about the character, it just is who he is.
Mhm.
It's a good bit of representation. I liked reading that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Well, I think that just
I think
about
that's
wraps
it.
it all up. Any
Time
final
for favorite
thoughts?
powers?
I was going to say we got to do favorite powers, but just any final lingering thoughts before we move on?
I'm upset that Battery dies
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard. I'm only upset because that arc is so good, and her
because
arc.
that arc is so good.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that arc, I wouldn't care. But that's the point,
Yep.
obviously. Thanks,
Very
Wildbow.
obnoxious. Make me care about people and then murder them. Thanks for that,
Yep.
Wildbow. Thanks for that.
Who's the real monster?
And sad too, because isn't that she just dies? She dies in the
No, she
hospital.
dies a slow and
Yeah.
very painful death because of
Off
Bonesaw's
screen. The
fuckiness.
worst kind of death.
Talking to Legend, giving him everything she can.
Yeah.
Like, really died that hero's death that
Dang.
she wanted.
Yeah. I mean,
And-
and it was that she wanted. Yeah.
So I do love though the seed that Wildbow put in that interlude with Battery, because in that Battery takes note that she hasn't been asked to do everything yet. But
Mhm.
what she does say is she says to Legend, Cauldron asked me not to kill
Mm-hmm.
or like to help Siberian escape, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things they asked me to do, and I'm sorry. I feel terrible. All
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh, that is
It's
such a
just all the things.
Yeah, I mean,
piling
and
up.
you mentioned Legend seeing Manton that tipped him off, which I agree with. But I think it's that in combination with Battery's final words to him that kind of puts him into down that road of, okay, we gotta suss this out. What the hell?
There's some fucky wucky shit going on. I gotta figure out what it is.
All right, favorite powers. Not a lot of new powers. A lot of repeat. We got a couple new ones, but who stood out to everybody?
I really like Cash. I just love the pocket dimension thing. I think that's really
that is very
cool.
cool.
And being able to stash people away and then pull them out right when you need them. I really like that power. I think that's very fun, and I would love to see more of Cash in the future.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Although we've seen it before, I appreciated hearing more about what Legend's power actually does.
Mm-hmm.
So getting a little bit more insight into Legend was pretty cool.
Yeah, he definitely got a lot more time to shine here than, say, versus Leviathan or something.
Right. And that question he asks of, is my power made for interdimensional travel?
Yeah.
Maybe. I'll never know.
So cool.
It's just like such a little like, wait, what? What? What do you mean? What do you mean? You can travel interdimensionally.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, that's great.
So
I'll give a shout out to Weld. You've seen him before, but just seeing him stand toe to toe with Crawler and Mannequin, using the full extent of his shape shifting abilities and all that kind of stuff was.
Our boy is made of gold, literally.
He is. Oh yeah, when Crawler
he got ripped open and there's like gold organs inside. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
As much hate as I give her, looking at Amy's power this arc was really cool.
Yeah.
It's true.
Amy had a lot of really cool things she was doing. You know what? I'm not even going to get it to Amy. Wildbow wrote a bunch of cool things with that power. And I mean, you're just like, okay, what can you do when you can't heal yourself? Like you edit bacteria and things around you to like staunch bleeding and
Oh
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then at one point in time, she's there and she's like, man, y'all should all be dead because I've been doing nothing but editing every molecule that touches my skin to be like deadly.
Oh yeah. Quick question: did we figure out why they weren't dead?
Bonesaw.
I believe the smoke that was
that
emanating.
Bonesaw makes
Oh,
is
that's right.
Yeah.
kind of like negates it.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yep. Yeah, that was terrifying.
But yeah, that's a wild. Like,
Also,
what's your power? Oh, I can just make air bad.
also just the visual of a flesh coffin flying around after a small child.
Ugh.
Ugh,
Ugh,
ugh.
gross.
It's probably already been done, but it's the meme of the guy getting chased down the hall by like the floating Slender Man type thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, with that being said, I think we have come to the end of Arc 14, end of this episode of the Brockton Bay Book Club. Good job, everybody. We made good time
Did it.
for us. We made good time
We made it.
through a
Not
long
bad.
arc.
Not bad.
Yeah, we're getting better. Yeah, this was a fun one. A lot of good stuff here. Really fun arc. I think Nick, you said it at the beginning. Reading it again, definitely, probably in my top 3 favorite arcs of the whole story. I think it makes a solid case for that. But there is some good stuff yet to come. We get into some really, really fun chapters here. Some of my favorite chapters coming up. So
I'm excited.
next episode
Don't remember
will
a single
be
thing.
Arc
I'm in blind.
15.
Will it be Arc 15?
It will be. Well, the next episode of the Brockton Bay Book Club will be Arc 15. The next
You're right.
next week will be Dissecting Worm for Arc 14. So stick around for that. Alan and I get into this chapter, going through chapter by chapter, looking at adapting it for television as we have been doing. We are wrapping up our hypothetical second season for the show. Ending with
End
this
of the season.
end of this
Yeah.
arc.
Which
Yeah.
means
Season
that we
2.
also do an end of season in review.
We do. We got to do another one of those.
Recap.
Absolutely.
That'll be a second episode, but it'll also release next week.
Yeah, so be on the lookout for
Wow,
that.
so
You
many
lucky
episodes.
ducks. You get 2 episodes in 1
I
week.
know.
Wow.
Crazy. Stick around for that. It's going to be a lot
All
of fun.
we do is give.
We are
and as
merciful gods.
always, keep leaving us your comments on Reddit and YouTube and Instagram and Twitter. We have really enjoyed poring over those and reading those. A lot of fun. We really, really wanted to do this podcast from the beginning. Was a way of engaging and interacting with people and just enjoying Worm again, as we do. So please keep leaving those great comments. We love to read them, and reach out to us. Let us know what you agree with, what you disagree with, and what you'd change. What
If you
you
want to date Jacob, you
Yeah,
know what
absolutely.
to do. Call us.
What's
DMs
that
are
number
open.
again?
Yeah, what's
Yeah,
that number?
that phone number. Yeah, leave a voice-
980-999-0438.
There we go. Leave us a voicemail. Let us know what you're thinking. And until next week for Arc 15, Michael, would you mind playing us out?
Thank you so much for listening. Read along with us at parahumans.wordpress.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts. What did you love? What did you hate? Anything you think we missed, etc., as long as it's kind. If you'd like to get in touch, you can find us on Twitter, Threads, Instagram, TikTok, and Reddit at Brocktonbaybc, or click the link in the description.